Alright.
Hello and welcome to the first edition of Raw Bikes. My name is Jeremy and this is my bike, and this channel is all about what I'm going to do over the coming months and what's going to be happening basically with some of the events that I'm going to be participating in. And this channel has really been set up, or going to be set up, for all bikers of all ages and all bikes. So I've been involved in motorbikes all my life, ever since I was a teenager. When I was in my early days, I bought an old 50cc moped type thing and rode around a friend's field. I then got into motocross after that when I was in my late teens, and got some help with some friends and sort of raced around the country in the UK. Didn't go international, just in the UK. And then after that I got into sports bikes. I had some early of the sort of VFR 750s and X-Up 1000cc sports bikes. And then later on in life, I've got sort of more toury, and I've ended up with one of my old favourites, which is a 1995 650 Thumper, as they're called, Dominator. And this video is really going to be kicking off about what I'm going to do with it next. I've had it about 4 years now. I bought it as a bit of a basket case. Yeah, exactly 4 years actually to this month. I think I paid £1,500 for it. It was running, but it needed a lot of work. So I stripped it down, put it back together, and not so much the engine, but more tidying up the bike, getting it ready for the road. And I put it on the road, and I've basically been on a few adventures with it around Europe. Took it to Spain and Portugal and France, and had some fun with it. That, and being an old bike, even 27 years old, it's still very capable of doing that type of touring. Now what I'm looking at is doing something a little bit more exciting, and that's called Sandraiders. Sandraiders is an event that's been happening now for about, as I understand, for about 8 years. I tripped over it only about 6 months ago on YouTube, of all places. It come across on Harry's Garage. I saw it and I thought, oh, this looks great. This is something I can do. Bunch of guys, about 60 people then last year, riding through the desert, and it's all about adventure, really. Adventure into the desert, an adventure into tracks and trails around the Atlas Mountains, from Morocco right through to Erfoud over the course of 7 days, with old school bikes like this, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's all been on the roads up till now, so I've had road tyres, road setup, and we've basically got to go and get lost in Morocco and find ourselves again. So typically the things we have to do is put together is off-road tyres, as you can see. Typically the off-road tyres on there are rally tyres or desert type tyres. I've opted for rally type tyre, which is an MT21. It's a good off-road tyre, good for sand, and I'm hoping it's going to last the distance. I'm going to come on to that in a little bit more. I've also you have to have a sat nav as well. So this is it says old school GPS actually. It's used on aeroplanes and boats, and I've decided to strap it on the front of my bike. It's called a Garmin 495, typically seen in the aviation industry. That's another story. But this is good, robust, waterproof, and they send through all the points which you can load up on your sat nav. It will take you point to point. So the trails, it will take you along the trails and the tracks, but it will help you get there. And if you get lost, you also get an emergency button. I've not no idea what it is, but we'll explain a little bit more when I get there. It's an emergency button just in case you break down in the middle of nowhere, or if you have an accident, so someone will come and get you. Some of the other prep I've had to do is we've got basically a bag on the back. I usually have just the top box really when I've been traveling around Europe, but in here is a soft bag. They've got some wets, some medical equipment, and we will get to carry some food in there as well, just for a bit of lunch, but to keep the energy up. I've also put underneath this time, I'm not too sure whether I'm allowed it actually, but we'll find out when we get there, is extra 5 litres of tank. I mean, a lot of the proper rally bikes, their tanks are about 23 litres. This bike carries about 16 litres. And the minimum available mileage or distance you can have is 200 kilometres. So your bike effectively has to do 200 kilometres or more on a tank of fuel. Mine does about 210, which is a little bit close. I felt, so I was a little bit squeaky about that. So I've put an extra 5 litres in it. It's a proper bolt-on fuel tank for motorcycles. You can buy them on eBay, that's where I got mine from. It's quite robust, and I can just pop it off and put the extra 5 litres in, which will probably get me about an extra, probably 40 or 50 miles probably. So it's enough to get me out of trouble if I get into trouble. So hopefully I can get to keep that. Coming on to the tyres, what we've had to do there is put mousses in front and back. Now, that's been quite a story actually getting the mousses. And the reason about, I use this company called Riga, Italian company. The minimum you have to have is the front mousse, but I opted for front and rear. On a Dominator or NX650, as this bike's called, is a 17-inch rear wheel. Absolute pain to try and get mousses for a 17-inch wheel. Couldn't get any in the UK, tried for weeks and weeks. The only company that makes them is the Riga, which I explained. And I had to speak to the Italians themselves in Italy, into the factory, to get one sent out. And they very kindly took one of the few that were available off the factory and shipped them out to me. So big thanks big shout out for Riga there. So thank you very much. Get them to me. And the mousses, they're like a solid inner tube that goes in, and that you just basically don't get punctures. The only thing is they're subject to a plus 30 degrees C. They don't like it. So you have to not actually go too fast on tarmac and try not to get them too hot. One of the things I had to change also was the handlebars. I put some nice Renthal bars on the bike. When I bought the bike 4 years ago, it had these aftermarket thingies. I'm not too sure what make they are, but they look pretty soft alloy and I didn't really like them. Renthals, for anyone who knows bikes and anyone that's had motocross bikes, is they're pretty strong. If you drop them, they tend not to bend. Whereas this type of thing, if you drop them, it bends. You bend the handlebars in the middle of the desert, I think you're in trouble. So I opted to get some decent Renthals. I've also got some spare what do you call them?
Levers.
Clutch levers. Clutch levers, yeah. So brake and clutch levers are spare. If you drop it, obviously, they break easy. I've broken levers myself quite easily dropping bikes. So spare levers. Also, I've got a spare chain coming. It's not here yet, but I've got that coming. So if you drop a link or it breaks, in the middle of the desert, you've got spare chain in the support vehicle. So in essence, this Dominator, 1995 Dominator, is a standard machine, pretty much, other than a few bits and pieces we talked about. And they're available in the market pretty much anywhere in Europe, worldwide. I mean, I'm a member of a Dominator group on Facebook, and you can see there's information that comes in from Argentina through to America, through anywhere in Europe. So there are plenty out there. You could probably buy one for a couple of thousand, maybe £3,000 or euros, and they'll be great for doing something like this. There's also tons of other machines. There's the old Africa Twins, there's the old Yamaha Tenerays, and you'll probably see lots of different, more rally style bikes on there. This is pretty much an old school dual sport. For anyone that knows, the dual sport bike of today is very, very popular. But this is, starting in 1988, I think it was the first edition of this bike, through to 2003, I have the 95 model. These are a cracking all-rounder that can ride on the road as well as ride off-road. As long as you don't, it's not a motocross bike, but it can be used for what we're going to use it for. So hopefully this will do the job and be able to complete the whole trip. So this is the kit we've got to take. Basically it's motocross style kit really. So they give us a nice big tin box. They supply it, Sandraiders, which you have to personalise yourself. So I've gone for sticking my name on the side and telling everyone I'm from the UK. So what's the kit we have to take is a rucksack with a camel pack inside, which is plenty of water. I've got some old school motocross boots. I can honestly say I bought these new 40 years ago and they're still going strong. They haven't been used much in the last 25, 30 years, but I've kept them all the same. We've got knee armour, comes with it, obviously motocross style helmet. They recommend a full face helmet for them. You can use an open face, but they recommend full face. I've gone for traditional motocross with the goggles. Some body armour, AirTech shirt, keep you nice and cool. Traditional enduro motocross jeans, some heavy duty socks, and the most important thing is the medical kit. You're obliged to take one of those as well, in case you have a praying. Hopefully not. That's it, folks. That's a wrap up for today, and next time you see me, I'll be in Morocco. Wish me luck. Here we are in Marrakesh, and we're at the hotel, and it's now the Saturday morning. We've all arrived okay. Most people are here so far. Looks like there's about 120 bikes here lined up around the back of the hotel, and today is going to be a preparation day, getting ready for the big tour off for tomorrow with a briefing later on this afternoon. Friday night, all of the lorries started arriving with all the support equipment and all of our kit, so which we unloaded, managed to find all that, and all the lorries set up for the support for our guys, and put the tent things up and things like that to hide under.
And my name is Joan Marcel. I'm from Barcelona, Catalonia. I am pertaining the staff of Sandraiders, and I'm the responsible for tracks and roadblocks. This is the track for all the mechanicals, also all the reparation part is in this track. Then this part is for the baggage. So total six tracks.
Six trucks.
6 tracks. 3 for support, exactly, and 3 for transportation.
Mike, can you tell us what they're doing?
Lowering the suspension units of our short arms.
Okay, thank you.
Guys are lowering the front suspension at the moment. They've taken the rear suspension down about half an inch, so they're just adjusting the front forks to take the stanchions up a bit. The bike's sitting too high, so as usual, everything last minute.
Some of the guys had their bikes lowered, and some of the Brits that I'm with, Tim and Mike, they had their suspension lowered and softened.
I'm no expert, but apparently my rear suspension was a bit tight.
Right.
So it's got more sag in it now.
Right.
Which means that when I get my fat body on it, I might be able to touch the floor.
And a lot of other guys had bits and pieces done, and so they're getting ready for the off, and they were still working until quite late into yesterday evening. During the day, we've done this signing on effectively, and getting our local insurance that the Sandraider guys sorted out, the third-party road insurance, which is quite difficult to get, I found, when I was in the UK. So we did that. Here we are lining up to get our beacon. Is it our beacon?
Yeah, emergency beacon.
Emergency beacon. So it's quite hot, and Jamie here has decided to get a fuel leak.
I fixed it, stop.
Oh, you fixed it?
As long as I don't touch it.
Oh, right, okay.
The mechanic. Medical, technical.
Medical, technical. And this is the emergency beacon.
Yeah.
What is it called? What's this called?
A tracker.
A tracker.
And it's a Waka tracker.
A Waka tracker. A Waka tracker.
A whacker tracker.
A Waka tracker.
Right.
It is. Say that after a few beers. And then yesterday evening, we had the presentation about what we're going to do over the next 7 days and some of the safety features. So that's it. And now we're off for the big 7 days. So day 1, here we come. Goat situation or lamb situation or... Sorry, is that my bad? Get out of this rut. Better.